Is now we're on the backside. Now the wind is coming in from a northwesterly direction, and it'll start to shift even more as this the center of circulation of Irma moves more towards the north. It's moving fairly rapidly. We'll start to see that even more so move in from the west. So maybe the storm surge on the order of 3 feet. I see some reports that they're estimating as much as 5 feet, but there is a high tide. That high tide brings in about additional 2 to 3 feet possible across that area as well. All right, we've got a lot to tell you about because it isn't just right around where the eye of Irma is located, but also over here on this northeastern coast of Florida. It has been very dramatic. Look at this. This long feeder band with this enhanced precipitation right around Palatka, also Daytona Beach. Did you see Sarah Seidner? She was holding on for dear life. Producers have told me she is safe, she is fine, but it is nonetheless stunning to see someone holding on like that in the midst of a band of intense rain and intense wind. And that is, some of that is moving up into southern sections of South Carolina, into coastal Georgia. The coast of Georgia is not very long, but already we're seeing wind gusts around 35 to 40 miles an hour. And the hurricane is still down here. But Tampa is really going to see it over the next couple of hours, but not just in Tampa, Clearwater, Tarpon Springs, Newport Richey, and then towards Crystal River. So all of those places, water rises going into the next 3 to 5 hours, Michael.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting.
So when the eye wall was going by, probably around 5 p.m., 4 or 5 p.m., I don't remember the exact time, it was about 45 minutes of the most intense wind and rain I've ever seen in my life. It was just astounding.
Well, look, tell us more about that. I mean, were you concerned for your safety? I mean,
The globes that are, the glass globes that are around the street lamps, those are coming crashing down onto the street.
It wasn't pretty, but we were prepared, and I'll tell you, this is where government matters. You know, people can complain about government and the size of government, the efficiency of government, but when you need government, particularly at the local level, this is where you need us to be at our best, and we are absolutely prepared to do that.
Stay inside, stay safe, be compassionate, look out for each other, and if you need us when the storm passes, we're going to be there for you.
that'll do it for us this hour. I'm Michael Holmes in Tampa. Victor Blackwell, and Early Start is up next.
And I'm Isa Suarez in Miami. Thanks very much for staying with CN, and please stay safe.
Right now. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Early Start. I'm Dave Briggs.
And I'm Christine Romans. It is Monday, September 11th, 3 a.m. in the East. Victor Blackwell is co-anchoring our coverage this morning from Tampa. He will join us in a moment. You know, it's not very often you can say millions of people are without power, but millions of people are without power right now as torrential rains and devastating winds whip through Florida from coast to coast. The relentless pounding from Hurricane Irma, now a Category 1 storm, ripping down power lines, leaving a trail of destruction. Take a look at this transformer blowing in Miami. Scenes like this playing out all over Florida. Nearly 4 million electric customers without power at this hour. That number will go higher as this storm travels north.
In Naples, water levels are rising at an alarming rate. 9 feet in a 3-hour span. Think about that. Even though Irma is now a Category 1, as we mentioned, forecasters warning everyone in her path to be prepared for potentially life-threatening storm surge. That is always the key in these hurricanes, always the biggest killer. In the city of Venice, the utilities department has shut down the water plant. There appears to be a significant main break in the system. That means no drinking water or water to flush toilets.
The Brevard County Sheriff's Department reporting 2 tornadoes touching down in Mims and Palm Bay. 2 tornadoes, mobile homes destroyed, but no injuries reported. Irma's ferocious winds collapsing at least 2 construction cranes in Miami, one of them swinging precariously over downtown, another dangling over the city's Edgewood neighborhood.
Now, so far, CNN has confirmed one storm-related death, a driver killed in a single-car accident in Orange County. First responders already executing rescues across the state of Florida. The North Miami Beach Police Department tweeting it had to deploy an armored personnel carrier to pull a mother and her 4-month-old child from their flooded home. They were, though, safely transported to a shelter.
All right, the hurricane tearing through the Tampa area overnight. About 28,000 people taking refuge in 45 shelters throughout Hillsborough County. All residents now being told to stay where you are. This is right there at the Tampa area. Let's go live to Tampa, bringing CNN's Victor Blackwell. Good morning, Victor.
Good morning to you, Christine and Dave. And another reason they should stay exactly where they are, because here in Hillsborough County, there is a curfew. No one is to be out on foot or in cars until further notice. That went into effect. Weather going to be coming, that rain going to be coming here, and how long will Sarah be seeing those winds?
I hope for Sarah's sake that the wind calms down, but I was just looking at the enhanced satellite imagery and the radar imagery, and there is a huge thunderstorm mass which is making its way right over Daytona. I was just informed that the Daytona Fire Department asked people to seek higher ground because the water is rising there. This storm surge is an equal coast opportunity storm surge. We've seen it on this northeast coast of Florida, also down here further south. That was overnight. And now along this west coast of Florida from Tampa extending northward. That's because the winds are shifting. But I want to point out a couple of things. There's this long fetch of moisture that Irma is still drawing in off the Atlantic. There's this dry air intrusion to the south. That is actually enhancing all of this. Can you see these bands that are moving now? Orlando, Kissimmee, you're about to get hit by some very strong winds. We would estimate that the winds that Sarah was in between 50 and 70 miles an hour. Right around India Atlantic, that's just about in this area, south of the Cape. The Cape had a wind gust earlier today of about 80 miles an hour. In India Atlantic, there are reports that the water in at least one home was waist deep. Also in Lakeland, Florida, just about in this vicinity. In Lakeland, Florida, there is a home with reported 19 inches of water in it. Along the Palm Coast, they say that the seawall was being battered and being overtopped by the storm surge there. And in Mayport, Florida, that's in the vicinity of Jacksonville, they have seen a storm surge there. This was about an hour ago of about 3 feet. That's because that long fetch of moisture is throwing all of that and creating a surge along this northeastern coast. But now we see on the backside of this system, and I'll give you a different view. Let's go to Google Earth and I'll show you a different perspective. Here's the Florida Peninsula. This is where Irma made landfall, right around Marco Island, around 3:30 in the morning. We know it battered the Florida Keys. We are only just scratching the surface as to what the damage is. Well, now Irma is roughly in this vicinity. It is racing off rather rapidly into southern Georgia. It is affecting southern Georgia, coastal sections of Georgia, also into South Carolina and into the Panhandle. So we thought the Panhandle, you might escape some of this. Here is Clearwater. There is Tampa. Just another quick look. Some of these southern coasts are going to be battered first with the storm surge and the high tide. So Dave and Christine, eventually it's going to make its way through that bay area, and we could see storm surge up to 3 feet. They close that Sky Bridge down when the winds are about 40 miles an hour. It's closed. That is a major thoroughfare. For September 11th, folks are just going to be hunker down until Irma moves far enough away that we don't have to worry about the surge, the wind, all of the things that are going wrong right now around Tampa, St. Pete.
Just a lot of misery. Karen, thank you so much for that. You know that.